Crypto on the brink of maybe some more downtrend in play. Right now, this move on the Bitcoin daily chart, kind of concerning. Bitcoin doing something that we didn't want it to do, or I should say, Bitcoin's not doing what we wanted to see it do so far. We're going to break down what is happening here and what a downtrend might look like for Bitcoin. Obviously, that would affect other altcoins such as ADA. Here's ADA on the weekly. Here's Solana on the weekly. We're going to dig into the charts there too a little bit, but I also mainly in terms of ADA and Solana in this video, I want to just offer some thoughts. I think they might be a little controversial in terms of these two altcoins, but they're my thoughts at this part of the crypto cycle. So everybody, thanks for cruising by. Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in, and let's just jump into the video. Let's start with Bitcoin. I want to talk about Bitcoin where it is right now. I want to make a note. The 20-week moving average, this green line, right around $37,000, just above $37,000. Bitcoin has done it, as we all know, has retraced, bounced off of the huge resistance area at the 618 line, the bull market doors, the lower end of the bull market doors. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but this has been my not even concern, because it's not concerning, but has been my anticipation, bouncing off the area and trending down potentially into the 20 or even the 50-week moving average, right now around $31,000 to around $37,000. Now, whether or not that happens, there's some shorter term support that I want to talk about in this video, but I do want to discuss on the daily chart kind of the concern, because this is what I've been tracking more on the short term. And I would say this really does impact crypto as a whole, right? Bitcoin is, in my view, what's happening with Bitcoin charts, the roadmap for what's really happening at this point of the cycle for crypto. And you can look how close this Bitcoin halving is over here, everybody. So close. So Bitcoin got rejected off the 618, comes back down, bounces off of this upper trend line, and then we get this pullback into the moving averages. Now, yesterday's video, I believe it was, we were discussing this exact move, and we were actually seeing Bitcoin break above the moving averages in yesterday's daily candle. What I said in the video, and this is always just the case when we're breaking some kind of key resistance, in this case, these moving averages, the 50-day moving average just below 43,000 and the 20-day around 42,000. We want to see, when we're breaking resistance, separation from the resistance area, because at the end of the day, what we're looking for, it's for Bitcoin in this case, to break the area of resistance and then just see support above the area. In this case, it's just this general range where the 50-day moving average is and the 20-day. We want to see Bitcoin break above it and see support right at that area or above it. So far, as I do this video, it is doing that. It hasn't fallen back below, right? But there's a concern, and obviously there's 10 minutes left of this daily candle. I could have waited 10 minutes to do this video, but the concern is, you can just see, even if I just zoom in, and this is what I'm watching in the short term, I just want to share this with you. The 50-day moving average, Bitcoin is actually slightly below it. I don't know if you can see that, slightly below the 50-day, but it is right in the range. We didn't get this really nice pop of separation above this range, right? So there's a very small window for Bitcoin right now. And from where it is right now to the 20-day is around a 2% move. This Bitcoin could fall 2% in a minute, right? This can happen very quickly. But this is what I'll be watching as this current daily candle closes, which is going to happen very soon, and even into the next daily candle. Are we closing support in this range, above this range, or will it unfortunately close below this range, a 20-day moving average around $42,000? So that's the range that I'm watching in the short term. Now, this would play into the exact theme that we always enter off of a 618 macro resistance every 4 years. Just a downtrend going into the Bitcoin halving, and it's normal. But if this were the case, if Bitcoin starts closing below $42,000, and by the way, let's keep an eye out for the bullish scenario where maybe we get an opening in a few minutes here and Bitcoin just starts trending up and we get separation in the next daily candle. Maybe it happens. But if it keeps falling, we have this next area of support. It would be another retest of this upper trend line right around $40,000. It's also kind of a mental number as well, but that upper trend line is that massive rising wedge with the $70,000 target to the upside. We broke to the upside and we're throwing back into the wedge. And you can see we've already bounced off of that trend line one time. That would be the next area of support in terms of Bitcoin if it were to fall below these moving averages. Unfortunately, we don't want it to happen. And then if it fails support, the next area of support, and I think potentially we'd probably see a bounce, would be in this general area around $37,000 to $38,000. This would be a lower high, a lower low for Bitcoin going back to basically mid-December back here when this little trend started. And then at that point, I think if we open up the momentum oscillators, we're going to start seeing Bitcoin start approaching, on the RSI, a level where we've kind of bounced previously, right? At that point, if Bitcoin does start trending down once again. And the move could be very, very common to kind of a move that we saw back here. Just to give you an example, where Bitcoin hit the upper trend line of that pattern and went into this downtrend. And you can even see this pop to the upside on the RSI, very similar to the most recent pop to the upside on the RSI. Now, notice what was happening. It was pulling into these moving averages, the 50-day moving average, the 20-day moving average, and it was rejection there. And it's very interesting that we're hitting the same exact area in the RSI, and we're potentially talking about rejection once again at these moving average areas. And I know that Bitcoin momentarily was above these moving averages, but again, it hasn't been above those moving averages for too long, and there's not really much separation from those areas. So I just want to put this out there, what I'm analyzing in terms of what a potential downtrend could look like, where support would be. I'd be eyeing up, first off, the range that Bitcoin's in right now in the next day or so. What happens here? That's what I'm questioning. Next support area around $40,000 at this upper trend line. And then obviously if Bitcoin's really falling, what's happening in this general area, $47,000, $48,000, or $37,000, $38,000. If Bitcoin just pops the upside, things start going crazy, everything's bullish tomorrow for some reason, Wednesday, right? January 31st. We're cruising to the upside. My general area that I'm just so curious about, if it gets there, again, will that be that macro 618 bull market door, $48,000 area? But that's a $6,000 move for Bitcoin right now, and I don't think that's in play in the immediate, overnight type of short-term future. But who knows? Bitcoin has surprised us many times. But that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin right now. Just continuing to track the move, continuing to utilize caution in crypto markets right now because, again, it's that rejection off the 618 line. We've seen what has happened time and time again. And what I want to point out is that $37,000 to $38,000 area on the daily that we just looked at. Notice what's there. It's that 20-week moving average. And this is probably the most important point I meant to make in relation to the entire Bitcoin move. If we do trend down on that daily chart on this trend line to 37,000, 38,000, if that happens, you can see Bitcoin will be testing the 20-week moving average. Now that is a move that historically makes a ton of sense for Bitcoin. And that is really, truly the first macro support area for Bitcoin. It might bottom out there. And so that's what I'll be watching for Bitcoin. But again, still got to watch what happens here. It hasn't failed yet. It's just a little bit of concern that the range that Bitcoin is at right now for support is very small, and Bitcoin really needs to start making a move to the upside, or at the very least sideways, before moving to the upside at this the 20 and 50-day moving average support. So let's pivot over to ADA. And really just quickly on the charts before I tell you my thoughts in terms of ADA and my thoughts in terms of Solana. It's kind of like if Bitcoin is cruising down to that 20-week moving average, we have a situation where ADA likely also doing something similar. 17% to the downside to that 20-week moving average. And to give you an idea, you look at something like Bitcoin to the 20-week moving average from where it is right now, around 11% or so, 11 or 12%. So you can see ADA a little bit more volatile to the downside in a move like that. Now, something like Solana has even more separation from the 20-week moving average. You can see move for Solana to consolidate might be 34%. Do I think if Bitcoin is only to consolidate to the 20-week moving average and fall 11, 12%, do I think Solana is going to fall 34%? That's a very big drop. So it's not mandatory that Solana would retest the 20-week, but I think it could fall pretty drastically, maybe towards a 20% to the downside range, and still hover above the 20-week. I just want to throw that out there. Consolidation on altcoins, if Bitcoin's going to consolidate further, still very much in play. And you can even see right now something like Solana at this lower high area. There's been really no midterm bullish confirmation in my view. So I'll be watching that. But in terms of ADA and Solana, I just want to put these thoughts out there because I know many of you follow along, especially in my ADA journey, my Cardano journey. And I want to say this right from the beginning. And I want this to be, foundational in everything I'm about to talk about. I posted this yesterday. I said, do you understand how bullish Cardano is as blockchain? 4 years ago, Cardano didn't have key features like staking, multi-asset ledger, or smart contracts. Now it has the most secure, robust, and decentralized liquid staking mechanism complemented by a brand new and expanding DeFi ecosystem, all underpinned by Cardano's top-tier blockchain infrastructure. It's built better is basically it. It's built better. And this is the chart. The fact that it's built better, in my opinion, the fact that it's more secure and decentralized, these are very important things to me. And they tie into my thesis as a long-term investor. As a long-term macro investor in something like crypto, and an altcoin in particular, these are very important to me, and they play very much into my risk appetite in the space. Cardano, it does it for me in that regard. And it's what makes it so powerful for me as well is it is so absolutely incredibly undervalued right now. So it's sitting around 51 cents. And if we look at, I just want to show this real quick. If we go over to CoinMarketCap, it's around $18 billion market cap, right? There is so much room for upside in terms of ADA. We go back to the ADA chart. We know what that is. A $400 billion ADA market cap is $11 ADA, right? That doesn't even accomplish what Ethereum did in that last DeFi, its first DeFi bull cycle. So those are very simple numbers. Now, I want to integrate my thoughts on Solana for a moment. And this is kind of where I think things might get controversial. Solana, and this is a Solana chart. Notice how it has less of a history, right? This is a very speculative bull market that we're getting ready to go in for Solana. And I tweeted this earlier. I posted this earlier. I said, Solana is obviously going to deliver epic projects and opportunities this cycle. So I'm planning accordingly. Here's just a very quick statistic. Solana surpasses Ethereum in 24-hour decentralized exchange volume. Everybody. I'm on Crypto X. I'm either like recruiting throughout the day and on X, back and forth. I'm in all, crypto ecosystems, learning, seeing what's going on with the news. Solana, the ecosystem is absolutely exploding. It's exploding in volume. There's so much liquidity. And in my opinion, there is going to be a ton of opportunity. And I don't mean in terms of Solana price. I'm talking about in terms of projects that are launching. And for me, there's this higher risk allocation of my portfolio that I enjoy kind of getting into altcoins. And I just think Solana is going to have some awesome plays in this next bull run. And again, this is the Solana ecosystem. And I said the only reason I don't really cover more than Bitcoin and Cardano is because of time. And since they're my top interests, they get priority. So I just want to say that Bitcoin and Cardano, they're kind of my top interests, right? But in terms of allocating and spending some time outside of those ecosystems, something like Solana, you just can't ignore what is happening on Solana right now. And there is going to be a ton of opportunity. And so I just wanted to put that out there. Solana has its weaknesses for sure that make me kind of gear away from it, right? In terms of being a long-term speculative investor in Solana itself. Even right now in the charts alone, you can see it's already pumped like crazy. It's 60% down from all-time high. If we're looking how much more until all-time high, what is that? Around 140% or so. Go to something like ADA. ADA has still a ton of upside until all-time high. We're looking 400, 500% to the upside. And I want to note, every cycle, and I think this is normal for crypto in general, cryptos move at different paces. ADA is one of those cryptos that is kind of a sleeper. Everybody will say it's over for ADA, and then all of a sudden, it's going to pump out of nowhere. There is so much in play for ADA. There's even so much in play in terms of the Cardano ecosystem. But I can't sit here. And I messaged a buddy on X earlier. I was like, when you look at what is happening in terms of liquidity and volume on Solana, it is drastically different than what's happening on Cardano, and that is okay. There are completely different chains and completely different ecosystems, right? Each have their own opportunities, and Cardano has a ton of opportunities as well that are sitting here over on Tap Tools, right? We see these projects all the time. Ton of opportunity there as well. But in terms of ADA versus Solana, I think ADA is the better play. I think it's a safer play. It's the play that interests me more. But I can't ignore the fact that Solana is going to have a lot of opportunity from an altcoin perspective, a higher risk perspective. You're not going to really see me sitting here doing videos on these crazy altcoin launches, but I just want to let you know I'm going to be spending some time in that ecosystem just trying to see what will be launching, what will be pumping, because I like those plays sometimes. I really do. And in a bull market, I think they can be powerful addition to my approach to crypto. But that's my approach. Please note, most of my portfolio, extremely conservative. Way more conservative, less risk play. But that side of the high risk, Solana is probably going to have a lot of opportunity. Also, just want to mention, have not mentioned it too much, the hard fork event coming up in, I heard there's May or June for Cardano. I want to start talking about that as kind of a speculative piece of this chart. Over the years, you all know, going into these hard forks, we've tracked how ADA kind of has a tendency to outperform. So that's something we'll be tracking as well. And that's potentially just after Bitcoin halving. So really good timing there for Cardano. Those are some of my thoughts, everybody. I just wanted to get some of those thoughts out there. I know there's going to be a ton of people that are just like, people just hate certain cryptos. I think it's weird. I think it's silly. A lot of people really dislike Solana. I get it. There's reasons I don't prefer Solana. But let's face it, there's going to be opportunity on a lot of these chains, and I think Solana is one of those. So I'm just looking into that a little bit and wanted to share it with y'all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I will see you in the next video. God bless.